residents of what the WEF refer to as a 15-minute city
are dangerous.
How they're responding to regulations on their way of life. Apparently, it's just the first of many cities that will soon be like this.
Terrifying.
Here's what they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. This would be just look.
Saving the planet. Okay. And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore. So if your mother, for example, lived over here, you wouldn't be able to just go across and see her. This would all be done via e-gates, electronic gates, and number
e-gates. Can you pause this? Because this is, like you said, last week, remember, we had the video of the guys that were destroying these barriers.
Right.
In the town.
Yeah.
They're like, screw this WEF plot to destroy my way of life. If I want to go down this road, I'm going down this damn road. And so she's talking about Oxford, this city where it's almost like a test city for the WEF and Klaus Schwab and his minions around the world.
For the 15-minute city.
And she's saying, get ready, it's about to go to this town, and then it's going to expand out.
Is she saying it's a good thing or a bad
thing?
No, okay, good.
No.
All right, let's see it.
Area will only be allowed within that 15-minute zone that you've been allocated.
What?
The number plate recognition will know if you leave your zone.
License plate.
And you can apply for permission, permit to leave your zone and travel to another zone. But you'll only be allowed to do this about 100 times a year. This is real. I just have to stop and say that. This is actually being passed by Oxford Council. This is happening in the next 2 years, 2024 it begins. And if you use up all your 100 passes that someone designates whether you're allowed to have to go into the different zones, you'll be fined. Your number plate will be recognised. It will observe that you've gone somewhere you're not allowed in your own city, and it will fine you £100 or £80 or whatever the fine number is. This is coming your way. This has already been approved in Oxford, in Canterbury. As another scheme, it's for 5 zones, but the same principle. This is not
by chance.
No, it's not by chance.
It's not.
What do you even say to that? That sounds like, conspiracy theory 101.
Well, part of it,
and it's actually in place right now in Oxford.
Part of it's already implemented, as we saw with video.
You can't drive more than 15 minutes from your home to go visit your mother.
Tell her to move closer. I don't know.
No wonder people were removing blockades and trying to clear roadways because they're already blocking them off in that city.
Yeah, and so the fines start in 2024
of $100
less
or
than a year.
£100. It's probably $120 or more. Wow,
bro,
that's unreal. That is incredible.
Coming to a California city near you.
It's all to stop climate change, right?
Yeah, man. You got no polluting. Stop.
Wow.
Stop polluting. A couple weeks ago, arrested for literally praying silently on a sidewalk across the street from an abortion clinic. And now, like I said, I saw the headline, the dad, right? It was a dad.
Yes.
And he's praying for his dead son.
Yeah, cops approach him, and they ask him what he's doing. And he says, 22 years ago, I drove an ex-girlfriend to a facility where I paid for her to have an abortion. Many years later, I came to realize what I'd done.
Oh, no.
And it's been a source of great grief to me in my life. I now pray for my son and to God for forgiveness. I would never have imagined being in a position to risk a criminal record for praying silently. But the cops show up, and on the video, the female cop says, maybe I'm assuming too much.
Yeah.
I identified her as a female. That doesn't put that on her, though, or him. I don't know what their pronouns are, if you will.
See, that's good of you to stop
trying
yourself.
to learn. Yeah.
You're learning.
I'm
exactly.
Learning. So the officer asks, what is the nature of your prayer today? How about this?
Wow.
None of your freaking business. All right? I would have called you guys and let you know what I was going to pray about if I wanted you to know. But you can't force me to tell you what I'm praying about. Well, he responds, though, What's the nature of my prayer? I'm praying for my son. The female officer notes that there is, quote, a clause within the Public Space Protection Order, or the PSPO, around prayer and around disapproval around the activities at the clinic here. They specifically set aside the clinics as a place where you can't pray around. I don't know how this is possible. Seriously, you can't make this up.
Tell them you're meditating. Tell them, look,
right.
This is yoga stuff.
That's all you have to do.
It's standing yoga.
Wow.
And then be like, oh, excuse us. I'm sorry.
Among the things that are forbidden in such a buffer zone are protests via graphic, verbal, or written means, and holding vigils where members audibly pray, recite scripture, genuflect, sprinkle holy water on the ground, or cross themselves if they perceive a service user is passing by.
Huh. What is happening?
Okay. Concerning the establishment of the no free speech zone in this section of England, whilst we acknowledge the right of anyone to conduct a peaceful protest, we had to balance this against the distress caused or likely to be caused and the detrimental impact of behaviors experienced by those accessing medical services or doing their jobs. Unbelievable.
If you are disturbed by someone standing on the side of the road with their eyes closed,
then stay home.
Then you're the one. You need to.
Yeah, you need to. You've got a problem.
You need help professionally.
So, in response to his admission that he was silently praying for his dead son, the officer says, "I'm sorry for your loss, but ultimately, I have to go along with the guidelines of the Public Space Protection Order to say that we are in the belief that therefore you are in breach of Clause 4A, which says about prayer and also acts of disapproval around the activities at the clinic."
I want to hear someone in a British accent tell one of these officers to shove Clause 4A up their arse.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to take. It's going to take law enforcement getting these unlawful orders and refusing to enforce them. It's insanity.
They can ask you, what is the nature of your prayer? But I would think you're under no obligation to tell them. You don't have to tell them. What you're being arrested essentially because you're praying silently. You're being arrested for what you are thinking at that time. Are you kidding me? Now we have thought police in Britain.
And this goes back to earlier discussion. Where do our rights come from? They don't come from the government. The government doesn't say we can pray to God. God says you can pray to God. The end.
Thought crime has arrived in England just 39 years late. Yeah, welcome to 1984. It just took a while to get there, but we're definitely there, certainly in Britain, and it's spreading all over the world. I can't believe you can't stand near or across the street from an abortion clinic and pray silently. Cops come up and ask you, what's the nature of your prayer? How about none of your business? Blimey. None of your bloody business.
But the Safe Spices Act.
Safe Spices Act?
Shut up. Like, just listen to yourself, man.
I know. God, wow.
Oh, it's...
What is the matter with you?
Irretrievable.
How is it possible you can't... And when they come up and ask you, why do you tell them the truth? I guess if you're praying, you're probably concerned about lying. That's, maybe that's
ask
possible.
forgiveness later.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah,
right.
I will get to that prayer later. Right now, I'm praying whether or not I'm going to shove you out into the street when the car comes by. Should I, Lord? Should I?
I think the answer is going to be no, but...
but you don't know until you ask.
That's right.
But I can't ask because Copper here is enjoying this power trip from the Safe Spices Act. Ugh.
And it specifically cites the abortion clinic in it. You can't... How did they put it? You can't pray about I gotta find it.
Well, while you
because-
look for that, just think of this right now. If you work at the clinic or you're a patient there or whatever, and you look out the window and you see someone standing there with their eyes closed, right? If that bothers you, then aren't you de facto basically saying, man, that prayer must really work because it's making me feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right? If you have no belief in God or think the power of prayer doesn't work, then why do you care if they're standing there?
Yeah, the clause within the public space protection order around prayer and around disapproval. You can't disapprove of the activities at the clinic.
I swear.
How can this be? According in and around the area of the facility,
Okay.
various activities such as protests are verboten. Those found in violation could incur a fine of £100, $123.65 U.S., or face a conviction at a magistrate's court. So you could actually go to jail for doing this.
I think Britain needs a test case.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why they're doing this. Maybe they're trying to push it to that. I think they're going to lose, though, in Britain. Yeah. Among the things that are forbidden in such a buffer zone are protests via graphic, verbal, or written means and holding vigils where members audibly pray, recite scripture, genuflect, sprinkle holy water across themselves.
Hold on. Genuflect?
Uh-huh.
We can't genuflect?
You can't genuflect.
That's
No.
What a stupid law.
Yeah. Hard to believe. Seriously hard to believe that this isn't Iran. Saudi Arabia. You know, that. Wow. The poor guy who got arrested said, I'm not a criminal. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a military veteran, and I'm a Christian. But I've been censored and fined and threatened with jail.
There's no room for you here. Sorry.
Dang. It's all hate. If you're praying for your son that you had aborted 30 years ago, then I'm sorry, you're a hater. Just absolutely mind-boggling.